Okay, time to start part two. Two things. I did some things to my mic, and I hope my breaths aren't as pronounced and everything. I turned down the gain, so hopefully the microphone sounds better. Number two, before I start reading, I've been thinking ever since chapter 14 when Mitch was talking to Lewis, and I was like, this is my favorite chapter ever. Sorry. I wanted to make a prediction, and I was a little bit scared to. But I'm going to make it. I'm going to give you my thought process behind it. So, I know for a fact that Kennedy has been watching Mitch for a little bit over a year. She said she's been prepping him for over a year, watching him for the last few months. So my thought is they were looking for, first of all, I have to say, my theory is that they are looking for the perfect killer. They're looking for someone who they can turn into an assassin that is set to kill a specific person, and I think that to be Syed, or Sayed, however you want to say it. Ha! Say his name. Sayed. Sayed. But yeah, where was I at? Sorry, I distracted myself. So basically, since they're looking for a perfect assassin, perfect killer, they have to find somebody with not only the skills, but also the mindset needed to kill someone that, yeah. So they're looking at Mitch, right, and they're like, oh, he's perfect. He has all the skills, everything. One problem, though. Would he be able to kill someone? Not just anyone, though. Would he be able to kill the person that we need him to kill? That's the question they have to ask themselves. And my theory is no. At the time of them finding Mitch, he would not have been able to kill someone. But after losing his girlfriend to the terrorist attack, I'll get into that, yes, he would be able to kill someone. And I got wind of this because it was very weird for Lewis to ask Mitch all these weird questions about, do you miss your girlfriend? What do the people who conspired to take down Pan Am Flight 103 deserve? What's the difference? Like, there's a difference between revenge and retribution. What's the difference? Would you be able to kill someone? Very weird questions. Until you put it into this perspective that they needed this to happen. Which comes to my big theory, which is at least Lewis and Stansfield. I'm not sure about Kennedy. It's possible. I don't think Hurley is in on this. But Stansfield and Lewis, they were the ones to conspire to take down Pan Am Flight 103 because Mitch's girlfriend was going to be on it. It wasn't some random accident. They took it down, causing Mitch's mind to make that switch from college lacrosse player to I can kill someone. Now, I hope this theory is not right, because if Mitch finds out, oh my gosh, if Mitch finds out that they know that they did this, you know what, I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much more because I've already been talking for 4 minutes and I haven't even gotten into the book. So let's read the next chapter. If I'm right, holy cow. If I'm right, I just realized my ring light wasn't on. That's fine though, right? You don't need to see me. But yeah, so part 2. We're on part 2. Is there part 3 or is it all just part 2? Because we're only this much into the book. Alright, it doesn't matter. Let's start this. I've been stalling long enough. If my prediction is right. Oh my god. Anyway. Chapter 20. Istanbul, Turkey. Of all the changes Rapp had to make over the 6 months of his training, adjusting to the solitude had been the most challenging. As he became increasingly immersed in his new trade, he drifted further and further away from his friends. The big change was not that he did not see them as much. It was a mental detachment. With each new level of training, they had less in common. His new life was far from social. Rapp's childhood had been fairly normal. He'd grown up in a nice upper-middle-class suburb of Washington, D.C., and pretty much stayed out of trouble. He did well in school, although some subjects, like French, were far easier than math and science. Facts. He excelled at every sport, which guaranteed a certain level of acceptance among his peers. There had been just one setback, and it was a pretty big one. When Rapp was 13, his father dropped dead of a massive heart attack. Okay, that's not where I thought this was going. It was a heavy blow, but Rapp didn't go into a complete free fall, nor did he retreat into a shell. The truth was, his dad wasn't around much. He was a workaholic who golfed on the weekends. He was in no way a bad father. He was fair and honest with his 2 boys, and as far as Rapp could tell, he had been faithful to his mother and treated her with the respect she deserved, which was neither bad nor good. It just was. Rapp has a brother? Ooh, are we going to learn about his brother? Rapp had a tight group of friends in the neighborhood, and his father had been wise enough to take out the right amount of life insurance, so very little on the home front changed. The awkward moments came at the sports banquets where he was the only one without a father. Aww. And the holidays when the memories of his father inevitably bubbled to the surface. But through it all, he was more concerned about his little brother and mother. Oh, little brother! Oh, how much littler? There was one area where it definitely changed him. He wanted stability in his personal relationships. His friends became more important than ever. Not that they hadn't been before, it was just that he had never had to think about it. All he had to do was walk out his front door, get on his bike, and within a block or 2 he couldn't help but stumble onto a basketball or a stickball game. More than anything, though, his father's death taught him that the clock was ticking. Everyone was going to die, some a lot sooner than others, but in the end there was no avoiding it. And since he wasn't a Hindu, he pretty much figured he'd better make the best of his one shot. This drove him with amazing intensity and focus on the fields and courts of his youth. Since he wasn't a Hindu. Dude. What? Uh-oh. Oh no. Uh-oh. And then there was Mary. Uh-oh. Rapp met her when he was 16. He was playing basketball, and she was running track. He didn't know if it was love at first sight because he hadn't a clue what love was. But it was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. It was like every great emotion he'd ever felt all rolled into one euphoric wave, and it scared the crap out of him. Yeah, it was love at first sight, dude. Because he instantly knew he was not in control. Fortunately, she was, and she had the sense and stability not to jerk him around too much. Her father was a captain in the Navy and a huge lacrosse fan. With 3 daughters of his own, he enthusiastically attended Rapp's lacrosse matches. Rapp and Mary dated all through high school and then headed off to Syracuse together, where Mary ran track and eventually landed in the Newhouse School of Public Communications. Her ambitious plan was to become a sports announcer. On a chilly December night in 1988, Mary was returning home from a semester abroad when her plane was blown out of the sky. Yep. Killing 259 passengers and crew, and 11 more innocent souls on the ground in Lockerbie, Scotland. The terrorist attack that became known as Pan Am Lockerbie hit Rapp like a hammer blow. I smell something fishy still. I don't buy that. I mean, there's always a cover story. Look at 9/11. I mean, sorry. Look at 911. Always a cover story. Oh, gosh. I knew this would happen. Oh, no. They had planned their entire life together. They discussed kids, ambitions, and fears, but never once did they think that one of them would be taken. You never do. If he'd made it through the death of his father relatively intact, the opposite was true this time. Yeah. He crumbled. He was already home for Christmas break and planning on picking Mary up at Dulles after she'd connected with through JFK. Strangely enough, when he received the news, he never questioned it, never challenged it, never asked for proof. The downing of the plane was all over the news, and there was no doubt that she was on it. She'd called him from Heathrow right before she'd boarded. Oh no. He was a wreck for the first week. He refused to see a soul, including Mary's parents. And then, on the morning of her funeral, he emerged from the basement, shaved and wearing a suit and tie. His mother and his brother, Stephen, accompanied him to the funeral, where he sat stone-faced in a state of bewildered shock. Stephen. Why is that name coming up so much lately? Stephen. I don't want to get into it. It's just weird. Midway through the service, though, something happened. The shock, the pain, the agonizing self-pity over the fact that he would never see her again, never hold her, never smell her. The list went on and on and on, like some pounding surf that threatened to drown him. Sitting in that pew that morning, listening to all the crying, witnessing all the pain and loss, made him want to make a break for it. He did not want to share his heartache with these people. None of them knew her the way he did. It was his dreams that had been dashed, his life that had been turned upside down and wrecked. Self-pity was something he had never experienced before, and it sickened him. Rapp took his pathetic, self-absorbed emotion and shoved it as far down in his gut as it would go. That's not healthy. And he plugged it with the first and only thing he had available, anger. Not healthy at all. I've done that. That's not healthy. Don't do that. Don't ever. If you're feeling anxious or sad or something, or you have had a loss and, oh gosh, don't push it down and replace it with anger. It's terrible. Anyway, God. That anger slowly, oh my gosh, what is this word? That anger slowly metastasized into a suit of armor. Jesus Christ. For the first time since the news had hit him, he saw a way out, a faint light at the far end of the cavern. He wasn't sure what it was, but he knew he had to head toward it. It was the only thing that offered him hope. The rest of these people could sit around and feel sorry for themselves and each other, but not him. He wanted to hurt someone. He wanted to make someone pay. Yes, this is definitely not healthy. He didn't know for certain that he would achieve his goal, but he knew with absolute certainty that he wanted to kill the men who were responsible for bringing down that plane. I think I'm right, y'all. I think I'm mother effing right. Rapp didn't know if it was right or wrong, and he didn't care. All he knew was that the anger kept the pain at bay. Rapp and Hurley had developed a hate-hate relationship. The shrink had told him it didn't really matter as long as they were united in their hatred for the enemy. It had been a strange 6 months, and looking back on the journey, Rapp was amazed that he'd made it through without any serious injury. He was young enough going in to be fearless, but coming out on the other end, looking back at what he'd been through, was another story. It was a little like being told not to look down while on the high wire. You just take it one step at a time, and when you get to the other side and reality sets in, you think you must have been off your rocker to even ever try it in the first place. Rapp could point to a specific date and time when the physical hell and mental abuse had all but vanished. It was replaced by 18-hour days that were structured to the minute and more academic than grueling. There were still long runs and lots of push-ups and pull-ups, but they were designed to keep them in peak shape, not to try to get them to quit. A low point was the day after he'd broken Victor's arm. For the first week, they were rousted at 5 every morning. Rap didn't need an alarm. He was on his feet as soon as the door was open, but on the morning after the incident with Victor, Rap found himself thrown from his cot and rolling across the dusty floor. After landing with a thud, he came up swinging. It was still dark, and his muscles were tight, and he never saw the blow that came out of the darkness. It hit him in the solar plexus, and as Rap doubled over from the first strike, another punch hammered his left eye. Rap hit the floor and lay there gulping for air like a largemouth bass flopping around on a dock. The lights suddenly came on, and with them the insults came raining down from the mouth of the mean old cuss. He stood over Rap, his fists clenched, a look of smug satisfaction on his face. If Rap had a gun at that moment, he would more than likely have killed the man. That's why you don't have a gun right now. The 4 remaining recruits were ordered outside, and for the next 4 hours were forced to endure unimaginable tortures. One man collapsed from exhaustion, and another simply quit. It was now down to just Rap and Fred. That was when the bastard turned all of his attention on Rap. By noon, they were down to 1. It was an unwarranted slap to the back of the head that did Rap in. What? As calmly as possible, he turned to face the old man and told him, "If you ever slap me again, I'm going to put you in the hospital." The old man ordered Rap into the barn, and they went at it again. This time, Rap lost fair and square. Oh boy. Or so he thought at first. As he lay there on the mat, bloodied and exhausted, he realized what had happened. The old man didn't think he could take him fair and square, so he ran Rap into the ground first. He dumped him from his cot at 4 a.m. and spent the next 8 hours wearing him down and tenderizing him. Rap never had a chance. The old prick had made it personal, and in Rap's mind that did not reflect well on the organization he thought he was joining. The whole thing was starting to look and smell like a shit show. Rap got to his feet, told the old bastard exactly what he thought of him, and quit. Oh boy, I don't think they're gonna let you leave. I don't think they're gonna let him leave. Rap packed his stuff and was almost to the gate when the shrink caught up with him. He tried to talk Rap out of quitting, and when that didn't work, he outright asked him to stay. Dude, you just beat the crap out of him, and now you're just like, please stay. We need you. Please? That's so great. Oh no. Rap still didn't budge, so Lewis put all the cards on the table. He formally introduced himself and admitted that Victor was in fact one of the instructors. He explained that he had vigorously protested using him to infiltrate the recruits. Rap asked him for the old cuss's name, but Lewis refused. "If you stay and make it through the rest of the training, you will find out who he is, but short of that, I cannot oblige you." When Rap held his ground, Lewis told him only that the old man was not the most likable guy, but he assured Rap that he was exceedingly good at his craft. He assured Rap that the nonsense was over and that from this moment forward they would be focused on tradecraft. Rap still wavered. He simply couldn't see how it was possible for the old cuss to change his behavior. Lewis, sensing Rap's indecision, said, "You're one of the best I've ever seen. We could really use you. In a way, that might explain why he's so hard on you." Yeah. Rap finally relented. It was down to just him and Fred. They still began every day with a workout, but the rest of the time he was spent either in the classroom, in the barn, on the pistol range, or on field exercises to Richmond and then to Atlanta. Ooh, fun. It's not fun, actually. They employed their skills against random targets, unwitting businessmen. They followed them, surveilled their every move, and looked for the right opportunity to dispatch them. Everything was analyzed and critiqued by Lewis and the old man. While at the lake house, they were allowed to speak only Arabic. They honed their fighting skills with virtually every conceivable weapon. They focused on knives and guns for the most part, but they were also taught to inventory every room they entered for objects that could be used to defend or kill. A day didn't go by where the old cuss didn't remind them of the endgame. He was turning them into killers. They studied this physiology until they had an intimate understanding of the best ways to either dispatch or incapacitate an opponent. They became expert marksmen with a variety of pistols, shooting with both left and right hands. They were taught escape and evasion techniques, explosives, and the tricks of the counter-surveillance trade. As a final step, Rapp and Fred were told that if anything went wrong, they were on their own. Embassies and consultants were off limits. Not consultants. Consulates. I never even heard that word. Were off limits. This book is so full of words I've never heard of, and it's frankly awesome. The United States government didn't know they existed, and it sure as hell wasn't going to claim them if they landed in hot water. The mean old cuss asked them if they accepted this. Wait, one more time. As a final step, Rapp and Fred were told that if anything went wrong, they were on their own. Embassies and consulates were off limits. The United States government didn't know they existed, and it sure as hell wasn't going to claim them if they landed in hot water. The mean old cuss asked them if they accepted this. If they didn't, they could walk away right now, no questions asked. After only brief consideration, both men said they fully understood the need for plausible deniability they were in. Hurley then formally introduced himself and told Rapp and Fred they were now free to reveal each other their real identities. Rapp and Fred had already done this several months earlier, but they went through the motions as if it were the first time. After that, they were forced to memorize a lengthy list of addresses and phone numbers across Europe and the Middle East. A day did not pass without Hurley's reminding them that the United States government had no knowledge of their existence. If they were caught doing something illegal in a foreign country, they were on their own. There would be no cavalry or diplomatic effort to gain their release. As often as Hurley brought it up, Rapp did not dwell on it, for the simple reason that he did not plan on getting caught. He doesn't plan on getting caught, huh? Enter literally the first 4 pages of the book. Anyway, the reason why I reread that part was I'm like, wait. So the U.S. government doesn't know that this little operation exists. I think I'm right. Y'all, my prediction? I think I'm right. You want to know why? Because if the U.S. government doesn't know that they exist, that gives them even more leeway to act on that, to conspire and get an enemy, commandeer an enemy plane to take down Pan Am Flight 103. Not a plane, but a fighter jet or something. I think I'm right. Anyway, I talk so much in this. I can only read one chapter right now in this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Also, I was very Rapp wanted to quit, and they wouldn't let him. They were like, "No, we need you. You're staying. Either you're staying or we're forcing you to stay." If that conversation with Rapp had gone a little bit further and he still refused to stay, they would have forced him to stay. It just simple as that. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the next chapter, so see you guys then.